How we doing, folks? I'm going to try something new today for Switchblade Dave's Crypto Hour, and I'm going to go live on YouTube here. This is going to be the first time I've done this. Twitch views I haven't been getting much of, but yet on YouTube I have. So we're going to try the live over here. Here on YouTube, I had some. No, I haven't done a show here recently. It's been a couple weeks. I mean, world's crashing and burning right now, folks, and I still have to work. I still have my daily stuff, and I still have a lot of other things on my plate to cover and everything else. Just like probably a lot of you do, I don't have time to quite sit down weekly by weekly and actually do a show. But over the last week or so, especially today, I have been in discussion with people on Facebook and other stuff when it comes to topics, random topics, but specifically crypto, Bitcoin. People asking, "Oh, has anybody bought?" Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of people out there that really don't know about it. I've said before, I'm a miner. I run mining equipment, and that's how I get my crypto. I get paid for doing that and stuff like that. I mean, there's other ways to get paid, sell stuff, and accept Bitcoin or crypto work. I'm pretty sure there are some jobs you can find. I mean, those are probably a little harder than to find stuff you can buy with crypto. But I'm pretty sure there's jobs, and I know there were businesses a couple years back that were allowing employees to take part of their check and everything um, as part of their pay, as part of their paycheck was given to them in Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum or a lot of other cryptos that are out there. I dabble in more than just Bitcoin. I only mine Bitcoin. That is the only one I mine. I've attempted to mine a couple others, Litecoin and Zcash, in the past, but keeping the miners up and the profit to and everything wasn't there. So I abandoned those, but my Bitcoin miners I'm still with, still going. And if all goes good here by the end of the year, I'm actually going to be expanding my mining operation rather than contracting it. It has been contracted uh, here over the last 3 to 4 years. Um, but this between the last halving and the one that's coming up, well, once this halving comes through, I'm actually going to be expanding my mining operation back again. I do see a potential in that to actually grow there. Now, mind you, I do purchase my miners with Bitcoin. You can purchase them with cash, money order wiring, buy them off of Amazon. Um, I mean, you can find them out there. I prefer Bitmain, the big one. They're very good quality miners, and I've been using them my entire time. No problems with them. Very easy setup now. It's almost like a plug and play router. You just have to know your information if you're mining solo or if you're mining with um, what was I going to say? Mining with a pool. Now, I do a pool. I don't have enough mining power to sit here and hope and pray and cross my fingers that I actually mine a block and get the reward, which currently is set at 12 and a half Bitcoin per block. Now, yeah, it'd be great to hit that. I mean, 12 and a half Bitcoin, what's that, $120,000? A little shy of that, at least 100,000 right now. Yeah, it'd be great if I could set my miners up, but the probability of that is they're probably never going to do that because I don't have enough power in my mining operation to be able to do that. Now, when I mine with pools, it's the same way. So the pool mines a block. The block then gets divvied up between all the miners. That are connected for a certain duration. If my miners go down, what I get paid out goes down. If my miners go back up and they stay online, so there's something about my Air YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth operation. Have no clue what that means. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth stream. As such, viewers will experience buffering. I'm sorry about that, guys. I definitely am not going to be have buffering, so you'll be able to see this thrown up here. I do record it, so it'll be that way. So sorry if you see a lot of buffering right now. Everything else is still good, so I will have this put up underneath the crypto hour for you to watch afterwards. Yeah, I guess for some reason something's not going right. I mean, when I do this on Twitch, I don't get this error or anything, but yeah, it looks like I kind of buffer back and forth. I mean, I show on my end that I'm connected really good. It seems like on YouTube's end, not so much because I'm still in the green. My frames per second and everything else on my end and my studio is good. So, not really sure what's going on, but yeah, sorry folks for the buffering and the delay and the lag is live YouTube. So anyway, back to some of the questions that these people have been asking. Have you bought anything? Yeah, I've bought a lot of stuff. I have my very first item was actually, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I have a little Goku figurine that I bought. It's about, I'd say about a foot tall. Nice, really nice done up piece that I paid with crypto. I've bought my cat and my cat's a 7, 8 foot tall cat tree, all with crypto. And what I liked about it was when I'm online, I don't have to give out personal bank information. I only have to give out my address and then send payment through with Bitcoin to a certain Bitcoin address. Once it's verified, they go ahead and it sends. Now, what's nice is 2 days, and normally I had my packages at my place. So it wasn't even a delay on that end. Now, yeah, it did take about an hour for the verification and everything to transfer through and all that stuff. So obviously it didn't ship right away. But if you put in an order online and just because your payment was approved, it's probably not going to ship for 24 hours or at least 2 or 3 hours. So when you buy stuff, it wasn't slowed down at all. That process was not slowed down at all. Verification of the money being transferred is a little slower, but it has to verify so many times. Usually within 10 minutes, that first verification is there and ready to go. But I've been in it for about 6 years. It's been nice. It's been up and down, sideways, and people look at me weird, and I still have people tell me it's not worth it. And is it or isn't it? I don't know. I don't feel some of the stock market is really worth it. I mean, yeah, let's put my money into a 401k and watch it grow at 5 or 10% every year, and then 10 years down the road, half of it completely disintegrates because something in the economy happens. Bitcoin did take a hit on that one too, but that was more because of the speculation and a lot of capital investors decided to jump because everything else was crashing, so they jumped off of a lot of things, which is what causes it to go down. It's rebounded. It's on its way back up. I think we're just shy of 9,000 as I'm doing this show right now. So for the most part, the price doesn't really, I don't pay attention to the price anymore. I haven't for about 3 or 4 years. Really don't care. I mean, yeah, it was great to see it hit 20,000 and then come all the way back down. Did I take a little bit of profit? Of course I did, folks. Come on, you're stupid if you didn't and you had it back then and was up by that high. I sold out a little bit. And then I also bought back in. I mean, that's how a stock market works, man. I mean, you buy and sell, you buy and sell. I mean, that's how our market works. So if somebody tries to tell you that this is wrong and just point them towards our own stock market and tell them, well, I guess that's a fraud too, because sell high, buy low. And if you can get back in, you get back in. I've done that on a couple stocks. Bought cheap, sold out when it got me at about, well, let's see, one stock I paid a penny per share. It jumped to $1.34 per share, and I sold it all off for almost $50 investment turned into $6,200. Completely sold off, and then turned around and when the stock jumped, like completely bottomed out at 0.0007. I bought back up, and I've already turned another 200 or 300 on the same stock. That same thing. I mean, people are getting mad because people are doing this in crypto. Well, it's no different except with mine, it can't be hacked. That's the one thing I love about Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with the price. It has nothing to do with the fact it's an intrinsic value. It's a speculation. It's this or that. The one thing that I love about Bitcoin is it was and will always be the very first digital file that you cannot copy. Um, that's that's it right there. That breakthrough is something that has never been done before, ever. If you have a digital file prior to '08, it could be copied, shared, and spread around. I mean, look at the music industry with Napster. It just proves that a digital file can be manipulated. I mean, look at the streaming services now. It's one digital file that everybody gets to access. That's all it is. So instead of having to produce 20, 30, 40 million copies of a movie, now they just make one and then either copy it numerous times onto a cloud where people can access it, or they still only have that one file and millions of people can access that one file at the same time. It 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 can be copied. It's digital. Now with Bitcoin, it can't be. You put a file onto a blockchain, it can't be copied, it can't be manipulated, and it really can't be changed. And a couple tests that are out there right now is the Ethereum network. Ethereum does tokens, so now you can privatize stocks. You can privatize a lot of different things. I can go ahead and create my own stock for my show here for this company. I can put all that in there and then sell it. It's a token. Here you go. You now own part of my business, and I don't have to go through regulations. Well, I have to follow regulations, but I don't have to be some all-know-it person and then file with the FCC or Federal Trade Commission. Don't have to file with any of those. Don't have to do any of that. I can just go ahead and create it and then sell it to people as what it is. I can't tell you it's one thing and then that's fraud. You got to watch out, but you have to watch out with that with U.S. currency and everything else. So, well, where was I going with this? Pay your taxes. I mean, yeah, nobody's really watching. It doesn't look like. Couldn't tell. I mean, like I said, it's lagging quite a bit. Let me see if I can pull myself up and see what happens. It says I'm live. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there's some lag in it, but that's fine. The audio doesn't sound like there's any lag in it, so that's all I really care about. Um, so with crypto, God, but yeah, he was asking me with that. He asked me about mining. That's why I was on the topic of mining, and I've had many miners in my day. One right here. Got another one right here. I've got the ones that are actually in the room doing the jobs right now, running constantly the entire time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I do take them down every 4 months for about an hour. And at that point, I mean, I make a little, but my payment does block off. The quicker I can get them back up, the better. I do take them down, spray them off, clean them out. I mean, they do have airflow that goes through them, so they're like a fan. They do get dirty. They pick up the dust. They run hot. Miners run very hot. Now, luckily, the ones I have back there, it isn't too bad, not like it used to be. But I'd supplement my heat in the wintertime because with them. The room that they were in, I shut off the vents, and I didn't even have to have air condition or have heat back in that area because they were burning off so much heat. They kept that area of the house warm, and I could save on my heating bill. Now, yes, I'm using electricity, which was about the equivalent of running a heater anyway. So why run the heater when I already have the heater, and the heater is now paying me money to run it. Now, it's also costing me money, so there's where you have to weigh the gain and the take. Pretty much right now with what I make and everything else, my break even's about 35 to 4,000 on Bitcoin. So where we're sitting right now, I'm mining all day. I'm not shutting my miners off because my return on investment's higher than the cost of the electricity to run the miners. The miners have been paid off. All my miners have been paid off through what I've made through Bitcoin. I'm running purely on paid off equipment now. So it's not like I'm paying for equipment. That's why I said here at the end of the year, I'm going to go ahead and make a purchase of more equipment to add to my mining operation. As long as the numbers still come out what I've been researching. I've ran the numbers the entire time. That's why I know where my cutoff point is. I know where I start losing money rather than making money when it comes to the price. That's one thing that's keeping the price of Bitcoin up too. The price of Bitcoin's up because the miners have a cost that it costs to create Bitcoin. Everybody's like, oh, they have no value. Well, they do have a value. People are pumping money into it, so therefore it has a value. If somebody's spending money on something to operate, and a lot of people are, and there's a lot of people around the world that still are, that it gives whatever they're creating value right there because they're going to have it at that value. So people don't understand that. People are paying for electricity. They're paying for the equipment. They're paying to operate and run electrical equipment 24 or computer equipment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So there's value there. Is it going to become a currency? It already kind of is. I mean, anything used for form of exchange is a currency. Our government's going to adopt it. No, they're going to try to make their own. The ones they're going to control them. They're not going to be decentralized. They're not going to be controlled by the masses, rather than but controlled by a single entity. Which there are some cryptos that are out there like that. One of the biggest is what was it? Let me go to my CoinBase here real quick. Not Ethereum. Oh, come on. See, this is when you're not ready for a show, but you still need to do a show. XRP, Ethereum. That one was one that was created by a business to try to tackle remittances, cross-border remittances and payments and stuff like that. But the issue with XRP is they've created it like a scam from the beginning. All the coins were mined, so there was no mining process at all. All the coins they put right into existence right off the bat, and they kept 50% of them for the company. So they own and hold half of all the XRP out there, and then they try to get people to buy it and trade it and use it and our systems like this, yada, yada, yada. And they've come to find out it kind of sucks and it doesn't do what they want. And for them to be able to keep the value inflated, they got to sell off their 50%. So, again, I'm not really sure what's going to come of that. I will divulge, I do have holdings in XRP still. Not as much as I did at one time, but I still do. If you want to know what I have holdings in, I have holdings in USD Coin, Bitcoin, Tezos, Stellar, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, DAI, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, and XRP. So I have a plethora portfolio of cryptos. I've held others. I've held Zcash. I've held probably 30 to 40 different ones just to test out. Some suck. Oh, I have Batcoin too because I use the Brave network. I do like it. I'm still trying to figure out how to get it under my control and not just on my browser. I've seen how it's done, and I just got to sit down and take the half an hour or so to read up on it and actually do that. So, yeah. First 25 minutes weren't bad. I am going to get into more of the miners and stuff here when we get back. Power versus hash rate, what the hash rates are, and where we're at today. And get a little bit more into mining pools and stuff like that. I am going to take a small little 10-minute break here. I think. Hold on, be right back. I have to do something here when I get my clock ready to go. Is that the one I got to do? Yep, that's the one I got to do. So I will be back here in about 10 minutes, and we'll go over some miners, hash rates. If you want, call in. I do have a phone. We'll see how it works. I know how to figure this out, but call in, ask me some questions. You want to talk to me, rattle some things around in my brain. I'm going to tell you I'm not an expert. I've just been doing it for the last 6 years, and I read and understand MS-DOS code and know how to read code, which kind of helped me out in the long term because, I mean, this is one giant code that we're running with. It's a program, and it seems to be a decent program that instead of inflation, we have deflation, which is the best type of inflation for currencies or anything in the form of trade. You want what you're trading to become more valuable, not less valuable, and the only way to do that is with deflation. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. Let me see here. Pause, stop. We'll do that. We'll go ahead and kick this on. And I'll see you back here in about 10 minutes.
All right. Jetting back home tonight, jet black surprise. Jet black heels, fishnet hose. Under the moon she blooms like a jet black rose. Satin skin, tender to the touch. Velvet kisses that I miss so much. My spirit up with every single stride. Lord heaven knows, jet black rose, just like the tide, she ebbs and flows. space, just a purposeless case. Now we're coming to your galaxy. Introducing human reality. Contact was made. Our journey finally ending. Aliens await. A new planet to start defending. As we build our hopes on high. Never noticed Major Tom go by. Returning in bed with a hum of his face, an unusual race, and they call us Mother Nature's son. Please don't tell Mother what we've done. With a hum of his face, just a purposeless case. Now we're coming to your galaxy. Introducing human reality. He died last night. 30 hours from orbit. Must have been a biological mind.
Okay, welcome back, folks. I took a little break, kind of regathered myself here on what I was going to talk about, and decided to have somebody come join me in the studio here. Uh, just my cat. He just wants some attention right now because I'm sitting at the computer, and normally he sits up here, and I give him attention while I'm at the computer because it's a lap he can lay on while I'm sitting down doing work. So luckily he doesn't get up in here. Might see my one cat jump on the chair from episode to episode every now and then, and be on the back. But so I wanted to get a little bit more into miners and a little more specific what I've gone through, the kind of evolution of of my mining over the last 6 years. So I did not start mining. I was not one of the miners that started mining on a computer. By the time I decided to jump into it, after about 7 to 8 months of research, digging into it, finding out. I mean, back then it was even worse than it is today. Oh, that's a scam. That's bullshit. That ain't gonna work. That doesn't do this. Yada yada yada. I found that finally, let's take the jump. Let's actually spend some money on some equipment and see what happens. So I found a video, and I can't remember where it was. I'd have to go re-look it back up. That used a Raspberry Pi computer and a powered USB strip with a fan to operate. Now, you did have to know how to run MS-DOS. The program that you put onto your SD card for the Raspberry Pi was an MS-DOS program. So you did have to know how to do commands and everything else to operate and go through it and set all the parameters and everything up, which luckily I didn't know. I've been messing with computers for a long time, and coding is part of what I've learned. Now, it's not something I do a lot, but I do understand it. I do know how to do it, and I do know how to read code. I at least know how to read code. The doing the code is a little different, and I know how to run an MS-DOS program. So I sat down, watched videos, watched other people, and decided to buy a group of these. Well, actually, it was a group of these and a group of these, and buy myself all the other components that were required. There was cables in there too, but the Raspberry Pi gets powered off the powered USB strip. All these go in all your other USB strip spots. One of the USB is for the fan, and everything gets ran and routed through here, and you have one plug into the wall. So once you get that set up, then you have to hook it to the internet through the internet port, and then go hook and get it, and then access this. Once you access this, you got to put in all your pool information, all your mining information, and all that, and connect to the pool. Once it connects to the pool, it starts mining, and it just goes. And you let it run. Now, the fan was to cool these down. Like I said, even the other miners, they get hot. Now, these didn't get as hot, but they do get warm. These did get warm to the touch. And if I spaced them out right, the fan would cool a lot more, and the heat sinks did help. But each of these, I think this one's a 1.3 gigahash miner. This one, I think it was a 1.7. I have a bunch of both of these. So I mined like that for a while. Well, then these were on the slow side, just like computers. These were what came after the computers to start mining, because you could plug one into your computer and you could mine. You only need one of these to mine. The more you have, the more hash rate you have. So they started coming out with more miners, and that's when I upgraded to this. Now, I can't remember what this one was actually called. But this one needed a external power supply from a computer to operate. You actually had to hook an external power supply up to this. Same with this one back here. So I had to go out and buy even more equipment. I had to buy the new miners. Plus now I had to buy a computer power supply. And if anybody's ever gone to buy a computer power supply, you need to know what pins you need and what you're looking for and how much power it's going to produce. And they're not cheap. A couple $100 for a decent one that's 750 to 1,000 watts. And then I upgraded to this. This is the same way, external hard drive. Now, these all went into the USB slot and still ran through the same Raspberry Pi program as what I was using for these other ones. I didn't have to upgrade anything. And then here about 3 years ago, I upgraded again. Now, these that I just upgraded to this last time are pretty much the standard that you get now. They're a box. Now, each one, depending on the chips that are inside, hash rate's higher and everything else, but they're more user-friendly because they're more like setting up a router. You pull them up, you plug them in. Some come with power supplies, some don't. You turn it around and hook it into the internet, and there's a IP address that you type into your browser, just like you go in to set your wireless router information up. You type in the US thing and it logs in. And now you're logged into that miner, and that's where you put in all your information. So everything's integrated. You don't have to buy the external computer or a memory card or anything like that. It's all part of the chip and the board that is actually with the miner themselves. Now, to give you some idea on mining power, I mine at 2.7 terahashes a second. And when I first started out, I was mining at 30 gigahashes. So I'm almost 1,000, I think 1,000 if I did the math right, 1,000 times more powerful than I was when I first started. Total money wise, I mean, I don't keep track of my electricity. I just know what a monthly bill without the miner running is, and I know what a monthly bill with the miner running is, and that's how I figured out what the return on investment was. Um, so I know where, okay, so I'm taking electricity and turning it into Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin that I'm getting. How much am I paying per Bitcoin? And when I figured that out, like I said, I'm at about 35 to $4,000 for a Bitcoin. So yeah, I'm not pumping $4,000 a month into my electric bill, um, but the equivalent is the same. So once I plug in 4,000, I get a Bitcoin. I'll have a Bitcoin because that's the, and with it being double, well, I mean that's a profit because anything over 4,000 is money that's on top of what it is for me to buy said Bitcoin. And people don't think about it that way. It's kind of that's kind of how it works. If I instead of buying Bitcoin physically, I'm paying for electricity to run the mining equipment that in turn is giving me the Bitcoin. So that's the way I look at it. So I know what my bottom line is, and I'm going to keep doing it. I mean, as of now, like I said, by the end of the year, I plan on an expansion, two more miners, and almost quadrupling my power, my output of hash rate, and hopefully quadrupling my payment time and what I bring in. So we'll see. I guess that's something that we'll see down the road at the end of the year, and I'll keep everybody on the show updated on that. But that's kind of the evolution of the mining. The mining on the computer was just an MS-DOS program on your computer, and it used your graphics cards, which some of the mining that's still out there does use graphics cards. Again, I've never found one that's worth the return on an investment, honestly. Bitcoin seems to be the only one that really put money into. You really got your money back out of. And you might still be able to do it. I don't know. I was asked what my prediction on the price was. I have no prediction on the price, folks. I mean, I was shocked that it hit 20,000. I got into this because it intrigued me. I had messed with cryptocurrency back in the late 1990s, when I was about 14, 15 years old. I did get into crypto. I didn't think that 20 years later I'd actually be doing it again. Actually, about 25 years later, I'd be doing it again because obviously what I got into back in the mid to late 90s was crap, was very hackable, very stealable, and very fraudulent. Heck, I wish I would have kept up with the getting paid to watch ads because I did some of that back in the mid 90s too. And look at that industry now, Jesus. People get scammed to watch ads now, and you see them everywhere on everything. I hope my channel here gets ads, and so I can actually at least make money this time. But I mean, ads are everywhere. No wonder people say ad revenue's up. Well, when you can shove an ad in front of 30,000 fucking people in 2 seconds, and it could be anywhere. Yeah, ad revenue is gonna be up. Now I do have um, I do have a couple games. I'm not allowed to share them on YouTube. Ooh, as we speak, 7 minutes ago, Bitcoin breaks 9,000 as a price. It's on its way up today. Let's see what my in-house Coinbase portfolio says. By the way, folks, just because I have money on Coinbase doesn't mean I'm not stupid. I do remember Mt. Gox, and luckily, I was smart enough not to have any of my stuff there. I'm one that likes to keep most of this stuff kind of like cash in hand and not under somebody else's control. The last day, I'm up probably 40 or 50 bucks on that portfolio. The last week, about 60 or 70 bucks. And the last month, I'm almost 50% up. 50% total, almost, yeah, for just that portfolio. So Bitcoin has had a big rebound already, a lot quicker than the stock market has or our economy, I can tell you that much. So, but I mean, And it's all trust. I mean, that's what everything comes down to. Do you trust it? Well, as of so far, I trust it better than the U.S. dollar over the last 6 to 10 years. Uh, um, like I said, I'm testing out new cryptos too. The one, I mean, the Tenzo is a staking one where you get paid interest like a CD. Um, you leave it sit for so long, you get interest. You leave it sit longer, you get more interest. It works just like a CD, which technically a certificate of deposit does the same thing. Now, with Tenzo, though, you get paid every 3 days instead of having to wait until it matures. And at any point, you can go ahead and take your money out if you want and go. So, in my mind, that's a little bit better than CD. If I have some money I can let sit for 3.5 months and makes me 5%. Well, what is it? Yeah, 5.10% annually. Well, okay. And I can take it out anytime. I can have access to it at all times. And if I just leave it sit there, you'll um, pay me a return or what they call staking rewards. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll throw and sit at 50 to $100 right there. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it's going. And so far, it's going good. Now, with that little bit of investment that I had, there's not a big. Um, I think I'm at like 2 cents every day or something like that, or 6 cents every 3 days, something like that. So it's not a big return, but I mean it's something coming in. It's 6 cents. It's starting somewhere, and obviously if you have a little bit more, you might be able to get a little bit bigger turnaround quickly. But it's right now set at 5.1%. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, with crypto, let's go. Let's do this. Let's switch over to here. I mean, Bitcoin's got up. It's 13%, and this was probably an hour ago when I started the show. Let's refresh this. Yeah, it's up 16% now at $9,085. Now, there will be a sell-off right here, folks. This is the top. We broke that 9,000, so it will not stay above 9,000 for longer than maybe 6 hours here, maybe 12. It might even jump up to 991, something like that. But we will have a pullback on this. This has been going up way too long, way too quickly over the last couple days. So there will be a pullback. There will be something that brings this back. XRP, I mean, everything's up. Ethereum's up 11, XRP's up. Tether isn't, but Tether's down 1%. But again, Tether is tethered to the US dollar, so it has to stay a 1-for-1 trade ratio. It jumps here, so it really doesn't trade 1-for-1 all the time. It fluctuates, so you can skim pennies if you have enough of it, here or there if you're watching it. Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, yeah, SB. I have some of that somewhere, but I have no way, no know how to actually access it, unfortunately. Litecoin, EOS. I mean, everything in the top 35, 34s is up. I don't really care much for the lower ones. I mean, I've looked into them. True SD, again, same as the other one. I mean, it's a couple imitators that are trying to be pegged 1-for-1 with the U.S. dollar, and it's not really pegged 1-for-1. USD coin is 1-for-1. It never goes up, never goes down. It goes straight sideways, and it fluctuates its own supply to make sure it's always 1-for-1 with the U.S. dollar. So as the U.S. dollar goes to reserve or goes down, there has to be something like that to take it up. So we'll see what happens with some of those. Well, didn't really have much more to say. Oh, the halving. Yes, let's talk about the halving real quick, folks. The halving is a mining thing, and it does affect the whole system, but it's more of a minor thing. It's when our revenue and our sources drop in half. So, for what I'm getting paid now, it's going to drop in half, which you'd think would mean that it would be $8,000 for me to break even. That's not true. It's going to be more closer to the 5,500 to 6,000 price range. That's going to be my breaking point now when this halving starts, because that's kind of the way. Yeah, something about encoding. Oh well. Yeah. I guess YouTube Live has some issues, or I just need a faster computer. One of the two. Um, so we're gonna have the halving. And the halving is the reward that that the miners get for creating blocks. So right now we're at 12 and a half, and we're going to go to 6.25. Now I've been through the other one. I started getting into Bitcoin when it was still 50, and it was right as it was going from 50 to 25. And then I had the halving from 25 to 12 and a half, and now I'm going through this again. So I've seen it now. I've heard some people saying, "Oh, this is going to do exactly what it did before, skyrocket." Yeah, yeah. Well, it's going to go up. Everybody's right now, well, the reason it's going up so fast is because they're anticipating the halving and the fact that the price will go up. I don't think it's going to go up as quickly as what it did, but it's still over the long term going to go up. The miners and the people that control or not control, because there is no control, but the miners and the groups that actually do the blockchain um, are going to have a say in how much Bitcoin is, because they're the ones getting them. Now, yeah, they can play with what's out there already and who has what, but it's still going to be the miners. If they're not making enough off of what they're getting, they're either going to shut down, which is going to drop the mining power in the ecosystem and cause it to lag even more, and trying to do transactions as the program actually adjusts itself for difficulty, to make sure that the blocks are set at 10-minute increments. So I am going to lose half of what I'm making, which is fine. That's why I'm going to push to quadruple my mining power just to stay in the game that frankly has done me good, and I should have never really taken for granted and kept pushing even when other people told me not to and back off, and I don't think you should spend your money there. You have this and this. If I would have listened, I'd have a lot more than what I have now, but I still didn't lose money in this venture, folks. I've made my money back. Like I said, my miners are paid for. It's just the electricity every month that I pay for, and until the cost of electricity is more than the cost of me just going onto an exchange and buying the same amount of Bitcoin, I'm not going to stop mining. That's why I mine. My price is set on how much I'm paying per Bitcoin. It's this much because this is how much I make and constantly week after week or day after day. I have a number that I got to pay attention to, and so I'm making this much. Is it worth it to keep my miners running? And what is the price I'm paying for these Bitcoin that I'm actually getting? And that would be my break even point. So is it worth it doing that, or is it cheaper for me to go on to exchange and buy Bitcoin? I'll probably switch over to maybe buying that way if it becomes that way. But right now, it's cheaper for me to run my miners than it is to buy Bitcoin on an exchange personally. Go ahead, buy Bitcoin on exchange. I use CoinBase for my trading a little bit. I use a couple other ones where I don't really cash out through them. I just trade back and forth, and if I want to cash out, I send what I got to my CoinBase wallets. I have some that's on a gambling website. So there's stuff out there to do with Bitcoin, everything else. So, yeah. It is a tricky game. I'm just in it. I'm just trying to navigate it just like the best, and it is a hard one to get into, especially when it's very confusing. Um, it's confusing for me to try to explain it to people sometimes. Um, and half the time I just have to stop talking, because that's why I started this channel, is to allow me to talk about my experience, what I did, what I know, how I've done it. But the technicals get over people's heads. The fact that they can't decipher the difference between a credit card that there's numbers on a computer and a decentralized ledger that's numbers on a computer. It's hard to say, but they'd rather have somebody that they know that's a bank entity controlling those numbers than you yourself being able to control those numbers for whatever you really want to do. So, with that said, I think I'm going to call it a night, folks. This has been Switchblade Dave's Crypto Hour. If it's helped you, like, share. We'll be back. Oh, here probably in a week or so. I'll try to do another one, maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday night when I get home from work. Um, but till then, if you have any other questions or anything, don't hesitate to email bsmedia419@gmail.com. Put in there Dave's Crypto Hour as the subject and shoot me a line. Let me know what you think, how I'm doing. This is all new to me, folks, and I'm just trying to make it through everything just like you are. Everybody have a wonderful night.